Hi, we have Dr. Edy Greenblatt with us today. Edy has worked with us at Tamid for 3 years now, and we are very happy to be helping you with an interview for your book launch. So let's get to it. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Edy Greenblatt. I was voted the #1 resilience coach. But the thing that makes me the most happy these days, besides the launch of the new book that I'll tell you about in a minute, is that I'm speaking to Humaira Tarsu, who has been one of our interns and has helped bring us an extraordinary team of interns for the last few years that have helped my regular coaching and consulting business, helped us launch Restoration, our Resilience Oasis app that I'll tell you about later. But I'm delighted to be here. Of all the people I like to talk to Humaira's at the top of the list. So thanks for doing this, Humaira.
Thank you for having me here. So let's jump right into it then. So we'll talk about the book first. We'll talk about the launch. We have some personal questions, asking you how you feel about this whole exciting launch. So let's start with the book questions. What inspired you to write this book together with the other co-authors?
So I'm not the lead on this book. The lead is Dr. Taryn Stejskal. And she she's one of my colleagues in sort of the world of resilience. She focuses a lot on sort of the meaningful piece. So there are two components to really being a successful human being, especially in business as well, right? And the core for everything you're going to do, the core is something we came up with when I worked for McKinsey. I worked with two other colleagues, and we created a system called they called it first of all, they called it the leadership program, and then they called it something else. Anyway, the two cores are you have to know what's important to you. So you have to have the meaningfulness piece. You have to have inspiration. You have to know why you care, why you matter, and you have to have the energy to do things. So my first book was Restore Yourself. It was about having the energy. How do you get the energy to do everything you need? So Dr. Taryn contacted me when she decided she was going to put together this book, which is about the stories of people who have been resilient and succeeded, got through difficult things and succeeded, related to business. You know, there's Chicken Soup for the Soul for general stories. And this is really about how do you be resilient as a professional person or as a human who has to act in the world more specifically. So the combination, this is on the meaningful side, right? So there's the meaningful piece and there's the get the energy to do it. And when you have those two pieces, you can do anything. You know what to do with your head. You know what to do with other people. You know how to interact with organizations, right? But you have to have this base to build on. So she approached me about this book, and that was what was exciting, is because I've never had my voice in the meaningfulness piece. I always had the tool to get the energy. So she approached me and I jumped on it. And I'm excited to be one of the primary authors on this book with, I think there's 28 other people involved. It's kind of very exciting.
So what unique perspective do you bring to this book?
Thank you for suggesting I bring one. So my perspective is from the perspective of someone who helps other people be resilient. And so wherein many of the stories that people share are very deep and are the story of how they suffered a terrible traumatic loss or traumatic situation or multiple, and how they got themselves out of it. And my perspective is a little bit different because I'm sharing lessons I learned from other from my challenges, but I never had a major catastrophic event. I had to deal with other people's major catastrophic events, my mother's catastrophic events, things like that. So my story is about how to do this, having not been beaten up so much, right? Now, it's really my reflection. I'll tell you the story, one of the stories in a minute. It's my personal reflections, and it's what I've learned and gone through, but really with an aim toward how do we make other people succeed through what I've learned, not necessarily from being sort of beaten to shreds, but being challenged.
So can you share a little bit about that experience that you were just talking about?
Yeah, so my mother had various forms of debilitation for about 30 years before she died. And so from the time I was around 20, I kind of was responsible for taking care of her and managing what she needed to do. So I had one of the stories I shared, and I love it. It was the most important thing I ever learned. Now I have joint PhD. I have a terminal master's in dance ethnology. I did interdisciplinary undergraduate studies. I had a lot of classes. I did a lot of stuff. I think I had a class in every building at UCLA, and that's no small accomplishment, right? Including the geology building, but it wasn't a geology class. So, and the most important thing I learned in the freshman ballet class, it was being run by the amazing, extraordinary Margaret Hills, who is a legend in ballet as a ballet instructor and performer. I believe she's in her 90s now. Margaret, I love you. I hope you see this. So I was a graduate student at the time, so I wasn't officially, I didn't have to be in the freshman ballet class, but I was trying to learn some ballet from this master. So she let me in the class. So the first day of class or the second day of class, she lined up all of these gorgeous, perfect, biologically, right? Aesthetically perfect 18-year-old dance majors. Everyone was already a dancer and they were all in ballet class. And so she lines them all up and she goes to the first perfect one. And she looks at her and she says, when you were between the ages of, when you were young, between maybe 9 and 11, you took a certain kind of, she mentioned a form of singing training. And right, is that right? She says, yeah, how'd you know? She says, well, when you do that kind of training, the shape of your chest changes. So your chest is too round to do ballet. So when you raise your hand and you're in this position, you need to turn your body this many degrees so that you look like everybody else. It's like, wow. Okay, great. So then she goes to the next one, also perfect. I'm sorry, these are women who should be in the covers of magazines from the 1980s, right? So she says, so the ratio of your thighs to your lower leg, your calves, is 1/3 too large. So you're likely to have knee trouble, probably medial, but possibly lateral. So when you do ballet, you have to do this and make this adjustment. It's like, she's just the beginning of her career. Like, so, and she goes through, and there's every one of these women who are perfect. Everyone is perfect. And she points out how each one has something that makes them not exactly perfect for the task that they're after, which is to become a very talented, very successful dance person for a long time. I was like mind-boggling. So for me, and she didn't do me because I'm not a ballet. I wasn't a freshman ballet dancer. I was a dance ethnologist, right? So the most important thing I learned is we each have to dance in our own bodies. No one is given the perfect set of equipment to do what they're supposed to do. Pretty much no one. Maybe the fastest runner in the world, but that's only for a couple of years, right? Because then someone else takes your place. So none of us has everything we need to do everything. Each of us has to learn how to dance in our own bodies. And I think now that I look at it, every time I re-examine things, right? My first book, Restore Yourself, and the whole approach of personal resource management, which is hyper individualized, came from that, right? Everybody has to learn exactly what their strengths are, what their weaknesses, but more than that, what particular set of behaviors and conditions do you need to operate under now? If you're an 18-year-old, 6-foot tall ballet dancer, what do you have to do now for what you're doing now in the body you have now to make sure you're okay when you have a different body after you've had 2 kids and had a 20-year career? So that's one of the stories I share because for me it has huge implications for everybody, and it helps us also get rid of the guilt, right? It's like, how come I can't do what he does? How come I can't do what she does? Because we're not none of us has the same set of assets, resources, physical preferences, psychological needs, upbringing. We need different things. So that's one of the stories I share.
What is the main message or theme that you hope readers will take away from the book?
From the whole book, we're all kind of the walking wounded, and we're all recovering. Life has traumatic episodes, even from before the time we're born. We have prenatal trauma. We have genetic trauma that comes, generational trauma that's coming on the mitochondrial DNA from our moms. We have trauma that came biologically when we were forming our bodies and things that continue. So what the book is to inspire and to help people realize that there is hope. And the hope comes from a combination of what we do and luck and how we ask for support. And it's different for everybody, but it's worth a try. Like if things are bad, it's worth a try. It's reach out for forever, all of us. Reach out. Reach out. Go to the book. If the book doesn't help you, call a friend. If the friend doesn't help you, call me, right? I'm Edy Greenblatt at gmail.com. Like, don't sit for very long in a state where you're frozen. And we all get there. I had a freeze, a few months ago. Things were tough. Okay. Okay. Surround yourself with people who will say, "Hi, I haven't seen you at the gym in a week. Where are you? Hi, I haven't heard from you. Are you okay? How can I help?" And to help other people, do that more than you feel comfortable, right? How are you doing? How's that? How's your brother? How's that going? Anything I can do? Tell me a story. Like, what did you have a challenge last week? When you start a meeting, you can do a one-word check-in. How is everybody doing? Right? Be assume everybody's got a challenge and let them surprise you by saying, "You know what? I had a great week. It's all good." Okay. As opposed to what is normal, especially in business, which is assume everybody's fine and get moving. Right? What if you assume everybody's a little bit broken and somebody might need something today? That's what I hope you get out of the book. You see the patterns of all of us at some point had to get help. You had to ask for help. You had to change your realization. You had to get more information.
So that was lovely. I hope everybody gets to practice that in practice.
Including you.
So
Including you.
yes, including me. I want to talk a little bit about the launch now. Can you tell us what's the launch going to be like? Where is it going to be? Who is going to be part of it?
Okay, so launches, it turns out that I'm learning this. It turns out that book launches are long things. They're not just, woohoo, we have a book. So the first part of the launch has already started. It's the pre-sale for the book. So we know that we can help more people if the book is a bestseller because bestsellers get advertising. And by the way, I don't get any money from this book. Okay. So I'm not trying to make any money off of this. Okay. I get the joy of being part of it and a chance to help, but this is not a financial thing for me. So a pre-launch enables people to buy the book in advance. And the sooner there are lots of people buying the book, the sooner we get more opportunity to share the information about the book. So the media likes successes. So the idea is a pre-launch helps get the word out. And so people who are interested in it pre-order it so that it picks up more media attention and it picks up more. And so that's the idea. So if anybody's thinking about buying the book and they want to help, if you think the book might help you or someone else, then the best thing to do is to pre-order it because also the price is guaranteed to be the lowest it's going to be for some period of time. So there's a hard copy and there's a digital. And if you go in and order, I think the digital is $10 US and I think the hard copy is $25. But either one, if you go in and you pre-order it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble and order one, right? Because like 5 doesn't help us because the whole bestseller thing, it turns out, is one at a time. So I mean, you can buy 5, but buy 5 because you want 5, not because you want to help us 5 times. So you go in and you pre-order it, or you can go into your local bookstore and you can ask them to pre-order it for you if you don't like web things. So that's one thing. We're having a book launch in New York. And there's some social media stuff that'll happen. So the official launch is the 11th. I think there's a media something on the 12th. I think there's a book launch in New York that I'm trying to get a ticket to get to because I'm overseas right now. And we're also, we're going to be offering some special things. I'm personally offering some special things. For those people who ordered both the Restore Yourself book, the old book that has the how to get the energy, if you order at the same time as you order the Triumphs book before, I think before the 17th of November, right? So the first week of the book launch, we'll give you get like this huge, probably 100% discount on using our resilience app. So basically you get a free coaching session, which is an assessment and free coaching session, which is worth like $600. So For those of you who now know the secret, what you do is you buy both books and then you send me an email with the receipt that you bought both books. And then we arrange for you to download the app. It's called Resilience Oasis. We arrange for you to download the app and you basically answer a few questions and you get a 45-minute coaching session with me. So if you're serious about being resilient, like here's your chance to really be serious and get some big perks. So the information will be in the notes from this, and you can always reach out to me, edygreenblatt@gmail.com, just the way my name is spelled, no space. Or you can Google me and find me. Or if you're a colleague of Humaira at SB Jane or in her private business, what's the name of your company? You have a company.
University Seeker.
University Seeker. So if you want to get into a good university, find Humaira, and she'll also know how to do that because I'll make sure she has all the information. So in short, if it's time for you to like get a boost on be inspired or learn how or get someone to help you, and if you can't afford a book, really, like if you really, really, really need the digital book and you can't afford it, also write to me and we'll send it to, Taryn, Dr. Taryn, who's the publisher of the book, and see what we can do for you. Like the idea is get good, be well now, be well forever. Okay. You can't save anybody. You can't help anybody if you're not okay. All right. It's not selfish. It's personal responsibility. So whether it's our book Transformation, whether it's my earlier book, Restore Yourself, whether it's the app, Resilience Oasis, whether it's calling your mom and saying, Mom, I need $20 so that I can buy some broccoli. Okay. Take care of yourselves. Don't be shy. We are all working very hard. And these are very difficult times for pretty much everybody. It's not a great time for anybody with few exceptions. So, all right, we're all in this together. Let's help each other. You can always ask me. If I can't help you, I'll tell you. Okay. But don't be shy. Write to me, edygreenblatt@gmail.com, or use our social media stuff or contact Humaira. Don't sit there alone and wish it was better. Okay. We're here to help. Heart bubbles. Wait a minute. Where's the heart bubbles? Heart bubbles. Here we go. We're here to help. Heart bubbles. Yes. I learned that from one of our interns from SB Jane.
Thank you so much, Dr. Edy. Before we close, do you have anything you would want to add in any last words for the viewers of this video?
So I want to speak to the people who are starting their careers. All right. And starting your career doesn't mean you haven't done anything yet. Starting a new phase of your career. I'm thinking people graduating from undergraduate programs, people who are finishing an MBA or starting an MBA. You're in a transition. Okay. Surround yourself by people who are positive. Surround yourself with people who say, great, way to go. When I changed careers, I was a dance anthropologist and I taught recreational dance sessions, like at the community center and at the church and after, right? I taught all kinds of world dance classes in a university, but also in the community. And when I told all my students that I was my non-academic students that I was retiring because I got a full scholarship for a joint PhD at Harvard Business School and Harvard University in the joint PhD in organizational behavior. I got a full scholarship. I'm a dancer. I got a full scholarship in business and psychology. Okay, there were two groups of people. I actually got someone who had been taking classes from me for years. She spent, 9 hours a week going to my sessions, and she said, "Gosh, we didn't know you were smart." I was like, okay, so what kind of idiot are you that you spent all this time hanging out with someone who was stupid and you were letting me train your body and change how you lived and affect your, right? Because dance community is a community. It was a big thing in their lives. Those people aren't the ones you want to play with. You want to surround yourself with people who say, wow, that's so great. You know what? We knew you were special. It's great to see that someone else sees that you're special. It's great that you're moving forward. Only those people. If you work for people who are not positive and you need the money, okay. But before you go to work, interact with someone who thinks you're fabulous. And at lunch, contact someone who thinks you're fabulous, okay? And after you finish work, be in touch with someone who thinks you're fabulous, okay? You're not going to learn to take it. And I made this mistake. You're not going to learn, I'm just going to surround myself with horrible people and I'm going to learn to deal with it. Like, don't. When you need to deal with it, you deal with it. You deal with it because it's an emergency. You deal with it because you need the money. You deal with it because it's the doctor who has control of your mother's life. I had to do that too. Okay. But when you have a choice, don't do it as a hobby. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. And if it's your family and they say nasty things, you can say, you know what? Tell me how you made that wonderful dinner. Change the subject. Stay off. Don't try to do personal development with family members and friends who don't get it. Engage with them on other things. Okay. Don't try to tough it out. Life will give you the challenges. Don't ask for them. Ask for professional challenges, but don't ask for developmental challenges, because if you do it too much, you get the opportunity. And then you end up in a book like this one, which is about people who got handed really difficult opportunities and got through them. But you don't need this, okay? Don't aspire to be us. Aspire to be someone who skips that part and just helps people be well, okay? That's my closing shot.
Thank you so much, Edie.
Well, Myra, you're one of the people from that world of launching new careers that I am particularly proud of and happy to see doing great things. You're running a business, you're finishing school, you've been working full time. You've lived in how many countries and worked in how many countries?
Lived in 16, 17 countries and worked in 6.
Okay, and this person is way, 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 way under 30. Way, 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 way under 30. Okay, so you don't have to be as successful as Humaira. You only have to know that she's also an amazing human being. And if you have a chance to interact with her, do. I'm very fortunate to have had her help me in so many ways. And thank you again for helping us with this. It's very kind. And like we say in Resilience Oasis world, we don't say bye. We say Bye-oosh. You have to like get in our world to figure out that. But thank you to everybody. Again, reach out anytime for anything. Really, I'm if I can't do it, I'll tell you. And if I don't know how, I will ask somebody who can. Okay. Take care of yourselves.